Hi guys, it's me and Juan doing a quick video presentation on how to set up an NFS share on CentOS 7. And hopefully everyone has already installed the CentOS with at least two disks, one for the main partition and the second one for the NFS share. So if you want to say hi, Juan.
Hey guys.
That was Juan, Mr. Pablo. So we're just going to go ahead and show you guys how to do a quick installation of, or rather not an installation, but setup of NFS share. Now, if you have done a minimalistic, whatever it is, the installation of CentOS or even the desktop one, and if you guys didn't pick then you have to do the yum install of NFS utilities. Otherwise, you can actually do the installation using the server GUI and then picking up the file server option, right?
Yeah, file server option.
Yeah,
that's right.
file server
option. So find NFS in there, NFS and yeah, iSCSI2 and all that.
Exactly. So the utilities would already be installed, so you don't have to go to the step of installing that all over again. So we highly recommend that. We have done the setup a couple of times, and Juan found out that if you do it that way, then all the utilities are there already. So we can bypass some of the steps that have been causing a lot of grief for everybody. So let's begin, and we'll just point it out, and then I'll give the mic to Mr. Pablo. Pablo, you wanna guide me? What we're gonna do?
So the first thing is that we'll need to add we already added the additional hard drive into the VM, so we're just going to go into applications and then go to utilities and disks. So we locate the hard drive, the additional hard drive we added, and we're gonna have to format it, right?
Yeah. So yeah, before we format it, like what we can do is also set up some of the options. So first thing first, like I would recommend is set up a, it says edit file system, it's actually the file system label. So I just called it NFS drive, so that's how I want it to be represented. So I would change that. And then if you see it change from whatever it was now to NFS drive, and the other thing is edit file mount options. Now, for that, you need to switch this off, and this means is mount at startup. So every time you start up this particular VM or the server, the CentOS, it would automatically mount it, so you don't have to come back and do all of these repetitive tasks. So the other thing is, obviously, if you look at the mount name, if we format it first, if you want, as Juan said, so let's format it, and then I'll show you the rest. So if we, all right, take it away, Juan. So format it, and then what?
Format it for these labs. For this demonstration, we'll just pick quick. The first one is fine.
Right.
And then the compatible, the type will be compatible with Linux systems ext4.
Right. So we have other options as well: NTFS, FAT, and then the ext, and then the encrypted one, and then you can have your custom one. But we're just gonna go for this lab for ext4, and then you can name it whatever you'd like. So again, for this, I'm just gonna name it as NTFS. Sorry, not NTFS, NFS drive. Okay. Again, this labels it again, so it's redundant, but still. So we pick that. We're actually just, since we don't have more drives here, so it's just gonna, or actually we're formatting this drive, it's just gonna pick it automatically and just format it. And yours, depending if you have SSD or HDD, will depend on how long it will take. But that's the other thing that I would say, if you mount it, if I were to do it right now, mount the file system, you'll notice that the name of this is Run Media Root NFS Drive. Now, I personally don't like this. It's too, for me, although it's shortened, but it's still too long. So what I would do is just simply go ahead and go into the edit mount options, switch this off first, and then NFS Drive here. For simplicity, I'm just going to do this, NFS Drive, NFS Drive. And then what I'm going to do is, if you look, the identifier is actually the whole big name. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick the label as NFS Drive. So you'll see that this will hopefully change So it will actually change. So once I press OK, then switch it on, press OK, unmount it, and then mount it again. Oh, I guess what I should do is unmount it, setting mount options, go into NFS drives, switch this on, press OK, go back, it's on, press OK. What? I didn't do it! Are you kidding me?
I think unmount it again. No, I don't think you did so. Yeah, unmount it first, then go back to the edit mount settings or mount options.
Edit file system, I got my name there.
Yeah,
edit mount options.
Switch it off.
Switch it off.
Enter the name. I don't think you entered the name.
No, I did. Oh, you mean, oh, right.
Yeah, on top, yeah.
The icon name and the symbolic name.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
NFS drive, that's right. NFS drive. Drive. I could actually have a talk show like this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There you go.
So, just mount it. Now, if you see,
now you can
it's only, mount an NFS drive, which is much easier to read. So, if we just come back here, edit options, and then this,
on,
and then switch it on, it will still stay like that. Okay. Now I lost that. I don't know why. Spunky.
Oh, because you know what? I think you have to do the.
It actually reverts back as an identifier for that, but over here it's changed.
Yeah, it's.
Then, yeah, but I didn't have to do it the last time.
Yeah,
so
this game internal here.
You know what? Forget it. Like that's just gonna take too long. Like we already have 7 minutes. I wanted to do it in 5. So okay, so we're just gonna jump right into it. Like if you want to see that, like if we go to if we go into utilities and go into disks and good thing that it came up. So this is a boot where your OS was loaded up, your first drive, so this is your secondary drive. So it also is represented by SDB, and the first drive was SDA1, so keep that in mind. Now, if we were to go in here, NFS drive, this is where our folder is. What I'm just going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and create a new folder in here, and I'm just going to call this NFS share. For permissions, we can use the terminal, or we can actually set up the permissions from here. But what we're going to do is just go to the terminal. I'm just going to say, I can even browse through the terminal by right-clicking and opening terminal. And then if you see, it's NFS share. But nevertheless, if you go to CD, so we're out in there on our root drive. Now, what we need to do is first and foremost give permission. So chmod and our directory for ease was mnt NFS. So that's done. What's the next step? Come on. The next step after that is that we have to do the export so that I can so here we are, and we just got
the path. So we're gonna enter the path, right? The forward slash. What do you call it? Yeah. NFS drive. Yeah.
And the IP address, so 172.16.
Oh, but no bracket.
Oh, right. I always do that. So NFS drive tab 172.16.10. Now we can actually give IP address for the only machine that will actually have access to it. Or what we can do is if you want to give access to the entire network, then we just have to put 0 and then give it as address it as a sitter. But we're just going to restrict it, and we're giving it to. I wonder if we restrict it only to the vCenter, and then would vCenter give access to the host that way? We'll figure that out later. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put it as S10.0, and then
yeah,
16. And no, keep in mind there's no space between it. Sorry, I apologize, Juan. I'm
no,
gonna
but
follow
yeah,
the-
no space there. So you open the brackets and you do right, comma, sync, comma,
uh,
yeah, no underscore,
all squash is a yeah, all
squash.
squash. And then there was no was it squash? Squash. Right?
I'll check it out.
So that's it, folks. Control X,
Save changes.
save changes, and we're done with that. Next step.
Next step is that we're gonna have to turn on the firewall.
Right. We could actually give it permissions. We tested it. There was an issue, but we'll come back to that. So for now, we'll just switch off the firewall.
Just serving.
There you go. So the firewall stops. If you want to just status check it, so status and then stop. Okay, so what's the next step?
Next step will be we're gonna click the benefit running with.
Right. So
That is
probably stop right now. There you go. So it stops. So
yeah,
install it.
start it. Uh,
Yeah. So guys, this is another way, one of the ways that you guys must have seen is system control and then enable NFS service and then go back and then system control start NFS service. So, but if you look over here, we did the shortcut service NFS start, so it's actually redirecting to the script part of it, so bin system control and then starting that service itself. Probably going to take another minute and then we'll check the status again. Oh, and another thing that we actually found out in our experiments was if you pick or select rather the ISO right from the get-go of when you're creating your VM, instead of saying that let me create a VM and then I'm going to add the ISO path later, it skips a part of installation. So do keep that in mind that it is imperative that you do not select the ISO before creating the VM. So keep that in mind. And that's a crucial part because if you do that, then you're not going to be what was
you will not be able to get that menu to select the server to
right.
be able to add the file server role, kind of like file server role, right?
Exactly. And if you skip that step, then you will definitely need the internet. You cannot be on the 172 network. So keep that in mind. So it's better to install a service from the get-go. So it will give you the option of how you want to install. Do you want like a server install, or you want a desktop install, etc. So choose server GUI, and then from there you can check select file system. All right. So just to check the status. So NFS is running as well. And that's it. That's all we really have to do, right?
That's all we have to do. That's right. Yeah.
So all the other stuff that you see on Google, it's really what it is. It's for the older versions, and or it could also be for the fact that we installed it as server GUI with the file server role already while we installed it. So do keep that in mind. All right, so just a checklist. Once you do a server GUI install, all you really have to do is, if we go all the way up, what we did was we first created the folder that we want to share, which is obvious, and then what we did was given the permissions, and then and the nano exports, we actually it's basically the host file and then stop the service firewall. We could add the NFS servers from there, but we didn't have much success, so we just stopped it. And in a server environment and a production environment, you would have it stopped because you will have some sort of a hardware for a firewall, as you know. That being said, all we did then after that was just simply start the NFS service. That's it, folks. Right? And then, by the way, I did the NFS this part by creating or mounting it like through GUI, because for me it was like, why can't we do it through GUI? So, but really, if we wanted to do it the other way around, it's pretty simple as well through the command line. And what would be the command line? Basically,
yeah, through the command line you can try the I think it's
directory, and then
directory.
whatever partition you want on. So it's actually mount and then NFS drive, and then whatever I want to name it as. So if I were to name it as NFS share 2, and then press enter.
Yeah, now you go.
Now you go. So if you see, now the second folder appears as well. So I could actually potentially go ahead and add this as there as well. So why don't we just quickly do that? So if we do nano, and then it's etc, actually go into the etc folder, and then there's export. So if we go in there, if you see there, that's our first line, and then we can add a second line. Take it away. Yeah, copy as well, but let's go in the habit of just typing it out. So 10.0, and you know what? Just for testing it out, I'm gonna restrict this to the vCenter machine only, right? So if we were in our vCenter, before this stops, and our vCenter IP address is 30. So what we're gonna do is go back here, and we're going to restrict it. We're not going to open this, the second one, to everybody. We're just going to restrict it to 30. So write, and then keep in mind, if you put a space, it's not going to work. So no all squash, no squash, and that's it. And all we have to do is save it, and it'll be done. So now, if we go to our but I already had set this step up, but you have to do it yourself. So what you'll need to do, how to enable NFS. Back to you, Juan.
Okay, so to enable NFS on the vCenter, we'll have to go from
No, first we need to do in the control panel.
control panel. Okay, yeah. So
Right.
Okay, yeah. So for Windows, in order to allow connect as an NFS client, we have to run Windows 7 or Windows 8. Keep in mind that for Windows 7, you have this option. If not, then you will have to get Enterprise Edition. Like Professional doesn't have this option enabled. So we're gonna go into the turn on features. We'll find the service for NFS, and we'll turn off both administrative tools and client for NFS, and we just hit OK. In this case, we already had it turned on, so there was no need to do that.
Okay. So and then it's gonna do a reboot. If it doesn't, just make sure you do it anyways. So we're gonna So once we are in our vCenter, go ahead.
So with vCenter, we're gonna go into storage, right? And is it under storage? It's going up. Yeah, it's just taking a few minutes. I think it's just loading.
Yeah. Or we could have gone through clusters, or
yeah, you can do that too. That's in different ways. So let's see.
Oh, it's taking a little bit longer. Okay. Storage. All right, so we'll go here and then data stores.
Data stores. There you go. Yeah. And then just create a new data store. Select NFS. Type in the server IP. Well, just give it a name.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna call it for convenience GF NFS drive, and I'm just gonna call it one. I don't know if I already had called another one. No. Okay. Okay, inaccessible because those are previous tests. So put in the server IP address. Juan, could we not put the FQDN for it?
As long as if you add it, you can make sure to add a whole record on the DNS. Right?
Gotcha.
If not, then that won't be required.
Okay, so we'll take care of that in a minute. So we can add, sorry, it's going to be 80. And then the folder again, NFS drive,
NFS drive.
and then we call it NFS. And we can do mount NFS as read only. So this will make sure that nobody would be able to add or delete or make any changes to the files over there.
You have to choose your ESXi that you want to add to. So
could we not give it to both?
No, actually to both. Yeah, you can just click on the top one. Just give it, and that one give it to both. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then we can otherwise we can just go and select individual ones that we want to do.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. So for convenience, we're just going to give the share to everyone.
To everyone, that's right.
And this gives you a little bit more information, and it tells you that you have read and write access, right?
Summary of it, and then just.
This tells you creating an NAS data store. Oh, previously it didn't take this long. Oh, this is embarrassing.
Pause.
All right, guys, we are having some technical difficulties. Oops. All right, guys. So sorry about that. So I figured out what I made a mistake. What it was is first of all, I had not given the IP address, and both of them were NFS drive. But we're actually giving access to a particular folder as opposed to that particular whole drive. So NFS share, I've given access, and NFS2. So we'll test it out now. So hopefully there shouldn't be any issues whatsoever. Fingers crossed. All right, so here we go. And that's a good learning opportunity for us to always go back and just trace our steps and to see where we made an error. Okay. So we're back into business. So we're just going to go ahead and quickly go into the data stores. And I'm going to go ahead and add a data store. So right now I'm just picking this one up. So if you see if I go to the host, then I'm actually going into data stores, and then it's going to be on that particular host only. So if you want to access, give it access to all the hosts, then you can go to the storage. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Okay. So let's run through this.
So let's try it again.
NFS. We're going to call this NFS share one dot NFS 5.
Oh, it's already there. You have to remove it. I think.
No, because the inaccessible ones.
Yeah, he's gonna have to mount it
Uh,
and mount it.
Alright, so we're just gonna quickly add it. I'm just gonna put NFS share one and NFS 5. NFS. There you go. That's good. So NFS share was shared with both the drives. So if we want to go ahead and
Okay.
this is what I was talking about. Like, I did a flush install, but it still wants to do a rearm. Okay, we'll come back to that in a jiff. But just to do a quick test, what we're going to do is we're just going to go in the NFS share one, and I'm just going to go ahead and create a folder in here called Ken share one, and just so that we can see that it's actually there. All right, and so keep in mind that's in the NFS share, and just like magic, we don't have nothing in the NFS share two. So if we go back to our client machine again, that's why I love SAP. Alright, so if we go back to our client, alright guys, so I hope you guys don't have any questions. If you do, I'm just going to recommend to use one of our best friends called Mr. Google or the Google. Again, I haven't tied up my vCenter with domain controller, so I can't use those single sign-on. So I'm just gonna do right now administrator at So if we go to our storage, here we have NFS share one, and if you look, can share one is already there. So this was the folder that I created. Has nothing in there, so we can't do anything. But if we want to add anything to it, we can definitely do that. All we have to do is just create. I want to create a new folder within the can share folder. So I'm just going to call it share and create that folder in there.
Lucky Tech. Yeah.
Call it Lucky Tech. Oh, now you'll see there's a secondary folder, and there's nothing in there, obviously, because we haven't put anything. Now, if we want to do, now if you want to go ahead and check our server, you will see over here, if I go in here, share one, I have Ken share one and Ken share two. So it's successfully working. Now, if I were to go back to our client, and this time we're going to go ahead and add the other share. So let's try doing that. So we go back to Toronto, data stores, NFS. Now, I want to show you guys the other way around. You said you have to add the domain name to the DNS record.
Yeah,
right?
so no, I mean, yes, we'll have to add the wholesale record for the CentOS server.
So we're just going to go ahead and quickly do that. I'm just going to go and log into my domain controller, which is on the other server. So if I were to go here, sorry, new wholesale record, and then the send server is MPI, what was it? NFS 01, and the IP address is 172.16.10.8. Right? So it was successfully added. Okay. So just to make certain that it actually works, what we're just going to go ahead and do real quick is ping it. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to first of all make sure that it's pingable. So 172.16.10.80. So obviously it's pingable via IP address. So now we're just going to go ahead and pingable with SPDN. So MPI 01 off.local. Pingable. So now what we're going to do is we're going to attempt to add that as one second, please. Oh yeah, sorry.
Minimize it. Yeah.
So we're going to try to add it through the two. We're going to call this, publisher. Okay. Blue. All right. So we'll just call it Pablo. So I NFS 01 local and NFS drive NFS and we're going to give it access to both of them again. Or we could just restrict it, but let's do this. All right, so let's see if it works. But that ping, we had done it from the other, but it works.
Yeah, it's fine.
So there you go. So we can see Pablo share here. So if we were to go ahead and we can actually browse it, we can register the VMs as well, and more options available here. So if you want to go ahead and again, same thing. So if you want to go ahead and browse the file, we can actually even tag it as well, browse that particular NFS share. Now let's go ahead and create a folder. We'll just call it one one. Okay. And there we're just going to go ahead and create another one called HR. Again, if we come back to our CentOS, we come back to our drive. So here's our NFS drive. Here's our mount point, NFS drive, and then and there it is, NFS share 2, and then Juan, and then HR. So it works. Congratulations, you have your NFS set up. All right, if you guys have any questions, again, please direct them to google.com.